All right. I mean, are you buying into Fresh's viewpoint here where, you know, Wolves, yes, they lost, but they had a good performance on this map? Can they really do it against Virtus Pro? I'm not convinced.
In all honesty, no, I don't think they can. Look, what I'm going to say for Wolves here is it's kind of one of those where I might prove me wrong. You know, just with the other performances that we've had through the stage, I feel like that game against Falcons, where Fresh is absolutely right, and we covered it, and I remember saying at the time, the Wolves won 80% of the game. They just won the wrong 80%. It was, you know, they won 80% of each round rather than 80% of the overall game, and it just meant that they weren't getting the rounds up on the scoreboard. But just given the performances that they've had through the stage, 6 losses now, I just look at it and I think that performance feels like the outlier at the minute. That feels like the anomaly, and so I'm not sure that we're going to see that same clubhouse quality. Prove me wrong, Wolves, please do. Come in here, make a hell of a game of it against VP. I just think VP's, you know, way of playing, the way that they grind you down, I think is going to be very tough for Wolves to face up to.
A quick rehost for us to get into, and then we'll get back into things. But I do agree with you. I think it's a hard one because, yeah, we often say things like winning is a habit, so is losing. I think once you get into that streak of losing game after game after game and largely being battered and just feeling like you're not getting the team cohesion together, it can be really hard to rescue that. Like, you know, mentality is the hardest thing, I think, to turn around into one because it's a self-fulfilling belief a lot of the time. And I think Wolves are just a little bit stuck in that pit right now. They're coming up against a very, very terrifying team in Vertus Pro, as we've spoken about to the death already. I do worry that this could end up being a real drubbing by Vertus Pro if they're not careful.
It does. It can't. Yes, it feels like that. But it's often those games, I think, you know, the Death said it at the beginning of the show, it's often those games where we do get the surprises, you know, so I don't know, maybe Wolves can turn something out. I'm not expecting it. 91% on the socials are back in Virtus Pro. You know, everybody knows what we think is going to happen here. That's the reality of it. But it's not to say that it will do. We've just got a short pause coming in. I think there was just a little bit of an issue.
FPS bug, yeah. All good.
Yeah, so they'll get that sorted and get everybody back in. Interestingly, when we look at the stats coming into today, Virtus Pro were the only team. They had 2 out of the top 5 rated players so far in EML. Pasha and Always, both on the side of Virtus Pro. Obviously, you know, nobody else can surpass that. There was 3 other teams that had 1 player each in the top 5. But it just goes to show, you know, how well Virtus Pro have been playing. You know, there's been plenty of talk about the boot camp and the reduction in ping because of it and everything else. And whatever it is that's given them the confidence for this stage that they've played with, it really has done its job.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing to highlight, of course, is that very impressive. I couldn't quite believe it when Fresh showed me the preview graphic earlier. Yeah. 49% attacking plant rate is absolutely... I don't think I've seen that number that high for any team at any tournament ever, and I love looking at numbers and checking the stats and all the rest of it. I've never seen a team get that close, and I guess this kind of translates very, very well to me into a little bit of lore here. I know that you also quite like your planting. You were out in the garden for much of the last 2 weeks, haven't you? How's that been going?
I've been absolutely grafting out in the garden.
I've enjoyed the progress pics.
Don't mention it to XR Striker. He thinks that I've been milking it.
Why milking it? What's he mean?
I think he seems to think I've been making the most of it, that I've been sort of slacking off a bit, I think. And you know, saying I'm still working, and the guys like, you know, maybe I've not done enough work. No, it's been good fun though. I've enjoyed it. It's been kind of like, you know, like IRL sort of creative sandbox game, you know, just looking at it and being like, right, what am I going to do with it, except it's all in real life.
Tim, you've got to have a word with the developers, mate. That progress is slow. Like, that progression arc is dragging.
It's serious, isn't it? Maybe it's pay to win, isn't it? You know, if I'd have paid somebody else, it'd have been done by now. But it's just the problem is, IRL pay to win.
It's like having a bad gaming mouse. You haven't got the right tools for the job. That's the problem. You need to get sponsored by someone, you know. Get a bit of Bosch in there, they'll sort you out.
Well, yeah, I can't really complain on that front because I do have a bit of a sort of, I was going to say a tool-heavy family, but it makes it sound like I've got a family with some idiots in it, which is not the case. So no, I've got, I have got a majority of the tools I need. I think XR Troika, to be fair to him, has offered his help a number of times, but I've done a bunch of it on my own. I've just sort of been just plodding away with it, really. When I've got a day with, people often ask, what do we do on our days off? What do we do on the in-between? And when I'm not streaming at the minute, I'm out in the garden doing the digging. I've been doing some, we're not talking about just a bit of weed in here. I've put a big 2.5 by 1.5 meter vegetable planter, raised vegetable planter in my garden. So that's going to have some garlic and some potatoes and stuff going on in there. I'm relaying a patio later this week. It's proper stuff, proper jobs that I'm doing here.
So when you talk about making a meal out of it, to be fair, you were cutting down like a stump in your front garden. You wanted to make it into like a bird bath sort of vibe.
That's done.
You were making a meal out of that. I won't lie.
No. You've got to be fair with this. So the tree, unfortunately, I don't like that it had to come down, but it had to come down. And it was a big tree, a big old tree. So there's like a massive... The entirety of like that area of lawn is just a big root ball, and I was making a border there, so I was literally cutting through like I think it was probably 20-30 year old like root ball essentially. So yeah, it did take. I did it all by hand. In hindsight, I probably should have got a few of them tools a bit sooner. But yeah,
I imagine if I went to our UK chat and pulled up the pictures that you posted for about 6 days in a row,
it did take me a while.
I think you removed about 2 centimeters of root each day. That was it.
It took me a while to get through, but it was a big job, was that, going through an actual root ball. Because the problem is what happens with tree roots of that size, they all tend to fuse together. So they'll like fuse together at a point and then grow apart again and then fuse together. So like you're not cutting through one, you're cutting through like 3 of them at once. So it can take a while to get through, you see. But
what I didn't really understand though is, as we know, XR Troika is a tree surgeon. Why don't you call him up and say, oh mate, come on, this is your specialty.
Again, that probably would have been the point to rope him in, but he's a busy boy, you see, and I didn't want to, I don't like to take his time up. And the thing is, we've had beautiful weather.
What, he is so busy fishing. That is true.
He's a busy boy,
He loves his fishing.
Look, we've had such good weather in the UK that it's just been, it's not been difficult for me to do. It's been like, I'll go and spend a few hours out in the sun and, I'll cut a couple of roots. So I've been in no rush, to get it done. I'm kind of in a bit more of a rush with what I'm doing at the minute because I'm trying to make the space a bit more usable for nice weather. So I kind of want to get it done before the nice weather disappears. So like maybe by the end of July it'd be nice, and then we've kind of got all of August and September to enjoy it. But actually, if we're only on the 8th now, I think it might be doable.
Yeah, I don't think this is so much about the weather though, Tim. I think it's an age thing.
The weather doesn't stop me. It's like, I'd like to enjoy the nice weather, but I agree. I think there is an age element kicking in there where I'm looking and thinking, ooh, I could get a nice azalea in there. Like, I think there is an age element kicking in as well.
You're at that stage now where like your daughter's coming to a point now where she's getting a bit older as well, and it'll be at a stage where she'll ask you for things and you'll be like, no, you don't need a new set of drawers, I've got this, and you'll appear
I'll
at the side of the doorway with a hammer. And it'll just be like, you're the kind of guy now, you get into that age, now that you are into your 40s, happy birthday for the day again, by the way. Yeah. Now you're at that stage, you're going to be the fixer-upper all the time. I'll be speaking to my missus at home about this, and I'll be saying to her, we could really do with fixing up that wardrobe, and you'll appear saying, you're right, Des, need a hand there. And I'll be like, what are you doing in my house, Tim? Get out.
I kind of want to be that person, that's like, just turns up with the tools and is like, right, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do. The thing is, I tell you what, there's a couple of things, like, if we want some real talk for a minute, there's a couple of things with it. And the first thing is, I have found it a really nice, really good creative outlet. I joked about kind of IRL sort of, creative sandbox games. But there is that element to it, definitely. It's been a really nice sort of creative, because when you really get down to it and start doing things with your hands like that, you start realising that it's, when you work within a game or you do something like that, it's kind of, you're working within the framework of what the developers have, in most cases, wonderfully created, but you're still
Here we go.
within a framework. And I've started looking at this stuff and I'm like, I could literally do anything. Like it's the most
except
flexible.
you know, you have to follow the rules of like physics and gravity and nature and all the rest of it.
You know, within those restrictions. But generally speaking, like you know,
there's still rules like in a game, Tim. There's only so much you can do.
I can make things happen, you know. So I've been impressed with that. But the other element of it is, like, genuinely from a mental health aspect as well, like a mental well-being kind of, you know, self-care kind of aspect. It's just driven me to be outside more, and I've spent a lot more time outside and among a bit of greenery and getting my hands dirty and stuff, and just having a real sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. Honestly, it's been wonderful. It's been brilliant for me.
I agree massively. Getting outside is something I'm trying to do more lately. What really made me laugh was obviously we're on like a 4-minute delay, so chat is way behind us. We've just got to the start of talking about gardens, obviously, and some guy has said, "Bro commentates his garden as if it's a grand final of SI."
Buckle up, chat. You've got another 4 minutes coming.
It just made me laugh because it's you speak about it with such passion that you could just sit, like we have done, all of us have done for the last 5 minutes now. Just sit and listen to you waffle absolute nonsense about roots in your front garden and a vegetable box that's going to grow some garlic and potatoes.
Look, I'll hit you with a bit more real talk here as well. Something that
not more real talk. We're 2 layers into real talk now.
With this. Real talk with it. Nah, something else that I've tried to live by, and I try to instill in my daughter. If anything is worth your time doing it, you should do it with passion. And I genuinely believe that, and that's something that I've always tried to, tried to live by. And so I do get excited when I talk about this. You know, if it's worth my time doing it, I will get passionate about it, and it helps the process as well because it makes me excited to do it. Like I'm thinking of my list of jobs tomorrow, and it's like, right, tomorrow I've got to lift the patio, all the flags have got to, but I've got to do it in an order so I know how they're being relayed because they're going into the same space, so I don't need to like reinvent the wheel. They're already cut, they fit.
Let me stop you there for a second.
It's
I
all
feel like
good stuff.
I feel like you have reinvented the wheel on that saying. Like you've overcomplicated it unnecessarily because the very simple, pithy line is, if a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing well.
Yeah, well,
that's all you've got to say.
Yeah. Exactly that. But I'm just saying that's where my passion comes from, you know. So you got to get passionate about these things. You got to, because then when you pour that passion into something, you pour that passion into it, you can see it. You can see it in that final project, that final product that you've delivered. It's all good stuff. But I mean, everybody might be glad to know that we're going back into the game. So, I don't know. If you want to hear more about my garden, let us know, I guess. I'll talk about it.
Mate, I tell you speak about when you're not streaming, you're out in the garden. Why don't you just stream yourself in the garden?
Well, I could do stuff like that, but I don't know, it's getting it all set up and everything in it. But
hey, that's up outside.
I definitely could do it. I definitely do have the stuff to do it, to be fair. I think I'd be too scared of accidentally doxing myself or something. I'd do something stupid, so yeah, I'll stick to Siege on stream.
Right now, it's some unknown place in the north of England, and that's all anyone really needs to know. All this said, we are into game. Thank you for sticking with us through our garden waffle, but it's been a good little chat. Tim enjoyed that. It's been a while since we've had a Designated podcast on the stream.
We need to come up with like I was trying to like off the cuff think of like a Siege themed gardening podcast name. I'm like greenhouse. Can we do anything with greenhouse? Can we do anything like I couldn't get there, but I'm sure chat will have some wonderful ideas.
All right, chat. That's for this game. I'll be watching. This is now the brief. You've got to help us think of it could be related to plants, but it's got to be Siege-related garden podcast names. That's what we're looking out for. And we'll start casting the game for you, shall we? Vertus Pro starting off on the attack. At this point, too, this is how deep we've gone in the lore, I think. However, as I said, we're going to see them kicking things off up on this top floor, at least to clear things out. Always, he's played a hell of a lot of Fuse throughout the stage so far. He's doing just that in this round. Go on, Tim, you got something to say?
Yeah, why not? Let's get involved. 35 seconds into the round, we see that jacuzzi wall getting opened. Crex was just looking to challenge it. They don't want to be giving up this gym and bedroom side too soon. You can see they've got the rotations in there. Wolves trying to make it as difficult as possible for Virtus Pro. We've actually seen a massive shift, I think, over the last 6 months or so on Club on this attack to CCTV, or in this case the basement, about getting in from the bedroom side rather than starting on the CC side. The reason I mention that is because we see the same with CC. We're seeing a lot more construction side of attacks. But it's a little pinch actually coming in from VP. Yep. As I say that, they do have joystick on the Blackbeard the other side, but he's going to get slammed by Azza.
He's like 3 and 15 on entry the stage, joystick. He just cannot catch a break. Don't know what it is. A bit too far ahead of the rest of his team there, and ultimately concedes his life and the position over to the enemy team. Wolves are still dug in around here, and there's a lot of maps to work through. And what I like is the Wolves have read into this and know the Vertus Pros, who said historically, can be a slow team at times. They've definitely sped up. They've sped up even. They've spud up. I'm talking about potatoes now, Tim. Cheers for that. They've got to a spot where they can go that a little bit quicker. However, they are still prone to being slow at times, and I think Wolves are exploiting this incredibly well. 2 kills already found. Both shields now gone. Dan might be about to clutch up big time, but it's a big ask.
Yeah, Wolves have looked great so far. It's been very, very solid from them. Just having a look at where they are. 3 have now got back to site. Az is in a position where he can do. He's just taking it care. Oh, he was looking at the wrong way. He was looking up at the window, but Shepard manages to get down to the door and takes him out. 3v3, 45 seconds left to go. Look, it's still doable for VP, but Wolves have wasted a lot of time. Virtus.pro are going to be rushing a little bit now. You know, they've got limited time to. They haven't even got the hatches open yet. I think Wolves could hold on here.
Not gonna lie, this guy's talking about gardening in a gaming stream is kind of weird. Most of us don't touch grass, let alone gardening. Yep, fair comment. 30 seconds to go. Here we go. 3 versus 3. It's boiling down to the sharp end of things now. And yes, Tim, you're right. They've still not recovered this. There's still a bit of work to do, though. Noodle getting rid of Dan. That's certainly not going to help. He was the one making things happen on the upstairs. Pasha, as we said, top-rated player all stage long. Has got to go massive here with 10 seconds still to play. If they win this, Tim, then I swear to God, I'm so done with Siege forever. Shepard at least stepping forward here. Has got to find a fight onto somebody. Can trap the guy inside of Dirt. For now, Plant going down as well, but he's found himself on his backside. Wolves are going to get round 1, but for a second there, it looked like Vertus Pro might be able to fight their way back in.
Yeah, it was a nice round from Wolves, wasn't it? It was all sort of built on that headshot onto Joystick. You got the Blackbeard coming in. Perfect role for the Blackbeard on that roam clear, looking to chase the defenders away from construction, and Wolves were just able to flick around and hit a beautiful headshot onto Joystick. Like you said, Des, maybe it's time for him to hang up the entry roll. It's not going well for him this stage. But yeah, great stuff from Azza, and it really set them up for the rest of the round. Like I said, 45 seconds left to go. Hatcher's not even open. It was always going to be a rush for Virtus Pro, and Wolves took full advantage of that. The 3 that had got themselves back to start, they knew that the work, or at least the large amount of the work, was done at that point, and they could get it locked out. Good stuff from them.
It was. I mean, you saw the problem I had in that first round was, again, the pace at which they were trying to fast clear that top floor. And I think back to the days of watching even Team Empire all those years ago. Joystick is always that guy that is really playing the true entry for his team and trying to take a lot of space very quickly. And Wolves have really just stuck their leg out there, tripped him up and got a kill for free. It's somewhat of a thankless thing, but it's probably a trend that they've spotted in Virtus Pro, is that Joystick is often alone. You saw when he went down on that cash door, for example, there was like 2 or 3 Wolves players around him. Not a single Virtus Pro player was anywhere nearby. And so, although it kind of feels like a bit crazy to say to Virtus Pro, hey, change things up and do it differently, because that ain't really their way, but maybe not have Joystick that far ahead of the rest of the team this time. Keep it a bit closer, a bit tighter, please. See how we go.
Drones are going to be raining through. Just, again, trying to gather, having a look at what they've got left. Only 6 left, and to say we're only 30 seconds into the round, it's not fantastic for Virtus Pro. They would, I'm sure, like a few more than that. I always go back to what Fabian said years and years ago, that, you know, if you come out of the prep phase with anything less than 9 drones, you've lost that prep phase. You know, so coming in 30 seconds into the round, having already lost 4 is not ideal. They do have the Twitch drones from Dan, of course, so that does at least bolster them a little bit, but still quite a big loss. We're going to see the Thermite is going to open up that CCTV wall, so the push is going to come across from the construction side. They're going to want to get Jacuzzi as well. We've seen a couple of times teams fail to open that Jacuzzi wall on gym and bedroom site, and defenders have been more than happy to just sit in the elbow there at the top of main stairs and cause an absolute nuisance in the late round for attackers trying to get a plant down.
Yeah, Vertus Pro being impeded here as well, it's worth noting. Wolves have done a pretty good job of that. Mute jammers, bandits, they've really tried to keep everything locked up, but now Akiba's coming out as well. They want to try and slow them down again as much as they can, but Vertus Pro so far have brought the tools for the job. They've lost themselves a bit of a freebie there as they're getting into a spot it really shouldn't have been in, but it takes a bit of time for the Vertus Pro players to snap that jaw shut and get rid of him. By the same token, Tim, it's now 4 versus 3, it's worth stressing, and this is all for a part of the map where the site is not. It's an extended hold.
Yeah, 1:10 left to go, and if you remember, I said at the beginning about drones, and we can actually see it in action in front of us now. They've only got 4 left, and we can see Joystick, having to check each corner as he's going around. They're going into areas where they just don't know what they're facing. Tyrant takes advantage of that and gets the kill. It's now 3v1. Shepard manages to find one at least. 1v3 becomes a 1v2. He's going to work his way into cash through construction, see if he can get anything going on site. But Wolves are smart. They've got themselves dipped back, and they're just going to create a crossfire now, and when one swings, the other will challenge.
This is going to be absolutely bonkers if Wolves come out to a flying start with 2 defensive rounds against Virtus Pro. Like, one of our top teams versus the very bottom. But so far, Wolves have been the ones playing things incredibly well. Shepard stepping in, got himself 3 kills across these last couple of rounds so far, but needs to add 2 more to his tally as that clock is now starting to wind away. Knows that leader is close, but they're doubled up here, Tim. Ready to play for the trade when the moment comes. In fact, backing themselves away. Leader can afford to play downstairs if he wants to. Here, of course, on the Soulless. Didn't quite clock Noodle fast enough there, and will lose his life for it. Wolves up 2-0. Not a start I expected on this map, but the gameplay, the tactics, the strategy has been spot on so far in terms of wasting time.
It has, and the nature in which they've won those rounds has been great for Wolves. They've been very much in command of them. The first round, they got those couple of kills on the roam. They dropped back to site. They kept themselves in there. Second round, they've kept everything, difficult for VP, kept them guessing, took away a lot of the drones. Like I pointed out, Joystick was just face checking everything as he was going. They were running into areas where they didn't know that Wolves players were located. Really, really good stuff so far from Wolves. And, as Fresh said, they had a good performance last time out on Clubhouse against Falcons. They are delivering again, but this time, they're not just winning 80% of the round, Des. They're winning 100% of them.
Absolutely are. Some names come back in, by the way. One from Hannibal was Ace and Des Go Goga, The Art of Planting. Quite like that one. Another one that came in that I did also quite like was Protocol Greenhouse, but I'd actually flip it a little bit, Northern Wolf. I'll go Greenhouse Protocol. That sounds pretty cool.
Oh, we could. I'm sure we could find something like with, like we call each season is like, Operation. We could have like Operation Greenhouse. That'd be quite a good one.
That's when we all start going like full on renewable energy and stuff in a couple of years' time, absolutely. It'll roll around, I'm sure. Eco-friendly operators, got no idea what the gadgets would be, but it could be a whole theme. Oh man, we're really starting to try and add operators to the game now, aren't we? It's come to that point. But now at least, focusing on the third rotated site, Gash TC to close out the rotation for Wolves, and then we'll repeat those same 3 again in our second quarter of the game. Virtus Pro are a team, it's worth noting that for a lot of the time, don't tend to take timeouts. Every so often we've seen it. Remember seeing Karl Jekka, of course, join them at the start of this year. It's been good seeing him back involved again. But they tend to avoid taking timeouts. I guess when you're winning everything, why bother for the most part? But I am curious if there's a break point at which Wolves find themselves getting enough of a lead that Virtus Pro kind of go, whoa, 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 slow it down. We're having a conversation because this is going horribly wrong.
Just going to get
Oh dear.
That's not ideal.
Better.
Yeah, that's better. Getting underneath and just try and prevent any tricking going on from Azza there. We hear the detonation go off, so they've managed to get that done at the second time of asking. Joystick is just going to take another little bit of damage from the Toxic Babe canister there, but nothing too dangerous. But again, are they aware of this? They've got one down in Oil Pit. If Krex can keep himself in this position and he doesn't get spotted out by VP, I've already picked up on their droning. They're down to 3 days halfway through the round. It's a problem. They've got no Brava and they've got no Twitch to save them this time. That is the utility they are working on. If they don't find Krex down here and they try to take Garage, which they're going to have to at the minute because this is all a CCTV-sided take, they're going to lose a life as they go up downstairs.
Well, here we go. Tossing a toll to the nades here as well as firebolts raining on through, but I'm seeing no damage coming yet onto the player. In fact, to say that Noodle's finally found himself going down and burnt to a crisp by Pasha's firebolts. They had the 5 versus 3, but there's at least one coming back from Krex here. He's had a quite a couple of games. You look about it, Tim, recently throughout the stage. Looking to get a second kill here, but now finds himself finished off by Always just a few seconds later. Virtus Pro in a 4 versus 2. Surely they don't lose this one.
Yeah, that's better from Virtus Pro. Not ideal being down to 3 drones, losing Pasha to the man in oil pit, but they got other kills elsewhere that accounted for it, and they reacted quickly as well. Fair, you know, fair's fair. They got down there, they got that kill onto Krex, took him out, and they don't need to worry about it. They managed to find the one rotating in sight. The second follows soon after. That was better from VP, but it was the third choice site. They really should, as attackers, be winning. Cash and CCTV is very attacker friendly, I will call it. Not necessarily attacker favoured, but definitely attacker friendly. If you get that garage catwalking, you've got the CCTV breach, it is very, very tough to hold on to as a defensive side. So Virtus Pro had to get that one. They need now to come back at Wolves and I think take another 2. They need to go 2-1 in this next quarter. They need to find one of those sort of first preference sites, gym and bedroom or basement. They've got to get a successful attack onto one of those.
Going in with the thermite ban to follow things up too. We had a good chat about this. I want to say it was on Nighthaven, was it, over the weekend when we saw a thermite and a Maverick ban come in? It was a bit like, well, things like Ace stay available. Yeah, it's a big hold you open up on the thermite, but Ace, of course, incredibly popular as an operator, still available to you. I know maybe it's more of a lean against Vertus Pro. Shepard, of course, a devout thermite main, it feels like, given the chance to play the operator. Maybe trying to force him onto something else? I don't know.
I think Krex down in oil pit was maybe hoping to get somebody a bit more significant. You know, maybe if they brought something like a Monty along and tried to push a catwalk that way, they did get something like that. But because he knew he was playing his life there probably, which is why he didn't try to sort of hightail it out of there afterwards, because he knew that somebody was going to be straight down blue stairs to challenge. You know that you're playing your life in there, but it wasn't really significant what he got taking Pasha down. So a little bit unfortunate for Wolves there, but Virtus Pro with a nice attack. They ticked all the boxes. They did everything they needed to do. The utility work up onto Garage Catwalk was brilliant. It was well timed, well executed, and it got them 2 kills. Good stuff from them. Can they use that momentum now? That's going to be the question. Last time clearing out this top floor row did not go well for them. They have to do that better.
They do, and that's why I think now we're seeing that Dockerby come on side, Tim. I'm not going to wax the ripple about Dockerby. I do it every single game that we cast, it feels like. I just think it's a good choice. Of course, we'll see whether or not they put it to good use and manage to chew their way through this team, which is no mute on the other side, so no impeding that operator being able to get the call in. Of course, taking off cams for a short time as well. I said I wasn't going to wax the recall. That's exactly what I started doing, but here we stand. There's nothing else seeing the intel denied away, and that's when Virtus Pro should be able to make their move on forwards. This is the kind of round where actually I encourage the aggression. You know, Joystick has spoken about earlier, playing a bit tighter to the team. You can still play tight, but be willing to play aggressive off the back of one of those calls coming through.
Just trying to get that jacuzzi wall open still. We hear the Selma detonate, so we know now it is a walkable space for them to be able to get through, and that actually sees now 2 of those defenders getting themselves back down towards the basement level. So Virtus Pro have got control over that top floor. They're going to make sure that's the case. Still have 6 drones. Better drone economy this time. They've been down to 3 at this point previously, so better from Virtus Pro. They can now continue forcing those players back. There's 3 left to go. Krex, leader, Azza all need forcing down from this mid floor. But time, again, will become a factor. 1:30 left to go. We're halfway through the round, and they still don't have full map control.
No, it's, again, one of those where they're being given the runaround a little bit, that you've had players from Wolves scattered all throughout the map and trying to keep them busy. There's still 3 players up on that first floor, for example. They are making sure that Virtus Pro have really got the work cut out for them. That's, again, why I think things like the Dockerby were a good idea. You saw it force most of their players back. Second call now coming out here, too. Jump forces back a little bit. Do they hit the door? Yes, they do. Pre-fire comes through, but no, Leader's going to find Always first. Now getting pinched onto, but again, Tim, it's how much time Leader is wasting. He is disposable, but he's still getting kills. 2 for himself, a 3rd for Krex. Virtus Pro, they've been given the run around here. It's like playing cat and mouse.
Yeah, again, it's been good for Wolves. They're now trying to use that Blackbeard to get something going. It's going to be Pasha who manages to find the kill onto Leader to at least give Virtus Pro something to kind of some hope to cling on to. But look at that, Wolves. They know they've got the diffuser and they're just going to sit and play the case. 30 seconds left to go, and they know that VP have no choice but to try and either push for kills or push to collect that case. And look at this, the freedom of movement then comes out from Azza. They're on both sides of him. Krex finds the final kill. Honestly, this looks like a different Wolves than the one we've seen throughout the rest of the stage.
They look very well prepared for the game, and I think that clear identity across those rounds that we've seen so far has been about wasting time. Did it fall away slightly on the previous site, Cash DC? Sure. It's a harder site to defend. It's immediately external to the rest of the map, to the outside of the map, sorry. It's going to be easy for Vertus Pro to pull something together off there, and they made it look easy with their garage execute. They kept it nice and simple. Any other site that requires them breaking through an extended hole, dealing with the road, Wolves have just made sure that they are maximizing the opportunity to deal with that. And because Vertus Pro are that, again, they're far quicker now than they used to be. They're still a bit slow. They're capitalizing on that super well because they aren't suddenly being swarmed by a 3 versus 1 shutdown like you might get against a team like G2. They're just playing to the win condition really well, and Virtus Pro are the ones that have to adapt, and as we all know, that's not exactly Virtus Pro's strong point.
Just looking at the table here for Wolves, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to start saying that they can make it to the playoffs here. But in theory, they could. They mathematically are still involved in the race. If they get the win here, they'd go on to 6 points overall. BDS are on 8. Gen G are on 7, yet to play today. Fnatic are on 7, so it would put them up on 6. So it kind of throws them into that mix on the last day. The problem they've got is Fnatic and BDS play each other. So at least one of them will come away with at least 2 points. So best case scenario, I guess Fnatic get 2 points, BDS get 1, that leaves them on 9. Wolves get another win, they go on to 9, and you just end up in this kind of maelstrom of tiebreakers. But look, I've said it countless times, and I'm sure I'll say it many, many more before we are done, and that is all that Wolves can do is win their own games. They can't worry about everybody else. They can't worry about what points other people have got and what results they might find. It just has to come down to themselves. All they can do is get themselves to 9 points. Once they've done that, everything else is out of their control. So why bother worrying about it? I know you'll back me on that one, Des. But I know you'll love that theory.
Don't call to my life mantra. How dare you?
I know you'll love that theory, but it's true for Wolves. You know, if they can get the 3 points today against Virtus Pro, which it's not done yet, an attack is going to be much more difficult for them, but they're looking pretty good so far. They've got, of course, Wolves play BDS tomorrow. Fnatic play Gen G. So, yeah, you know, arguably, Wolves beat BDS. They go ahead of them. So they then go 9 points, and that takes BDS out of the running. So Fnatic and Gen G could all things can happen. It would have
to be overtime, like win for one of those two teams, like at the minimum.
All things can happen.
9 points. Round diff then becomes the problem for Wolves. It has to literally slam the rest of this game and then slam BDS like 7-1 tomorrow.
It's highly unlikely. But like I said, all they can do is win. You're telling me there's a chance? All they can do is win these games. And right now, they are winning this. It has been a good performance from them so far. It's, you know, this is not VP making mistakes necessarily. Wolves have played it well. They've played their 2 roams on basement. I've been particularly impressed with. You know, the way that they did it differently. They got a couple of kills up on the top floor. They held on to it for much longer in round 1. Round 2, they were kind of happy. The second time around on basement, they were kind of happy enough to be pushed away, but then played inside a bar, inside a strip, inside of that first floor, inside a kitchen, and just made life again really, really difficult for Virtus Pro to clear them in a different way. And yeah, it's been nice to see this, Wolves.
Well, I think there needs to be change on that Virtus Pro side, and as I sort of said earlier, they're not that big changing team. They're not the kind to suddenly drastically flip things upside down and change the way that they play. But I know in their mind, they're thinking, okay, we can deal with this. We can adapt. This isn't going to be the end of the world for us. We'll find a way through. Of course, we'll see if they do across those last couple of rounds. And of course, we'll see what happens when we change over to the other side. I always say it, 2 halves to a game of Siege. Wolves could absolutely crumble when they get onto the attack, and Virtus Pro could stonewall them out 6-0 for all we know.
I tell you what, Des, you mentioned round difference, and I'm looking at it here. You know, it's a big ask, but let's, for argument's sake, say Wolves win by 4. That takes them to -15 round difference. Fnatic are -12, Gen G are -11. So you can take BDS out of it if you argue that Wolves beat them tomorrow, because then they'd go, you know, if they beat them in regulation, they'd go ahead of them on points. So that takes BDS out of it. So they're going really against Gen G and Fnatic more than likely, who play each other. All they need really is a tight game there between Fnatic and Gen G, so that they only gain maybe 1 round as a winner in overtime or something. And then Wolves all of a sudden at -15 I know it's a big only again, but can win by 3 or 4 rounds and put themselves right in the mix with those 2. So it's a big ask, but I'm just saying it's doable. It is doable, and Wolves need to just focus on that fact.
I love this one from Dr. Lulu, the Touch Grass Project.
There we go.
That's got to be the one.
That's what I'm trying to promote. Get yourselves out. Get a bit of fresh air. It's done me the world of good. It's been brilliant. Create something at the same time. Be productive and create something. You know, it's great.
Hannibal came in with a second suggestion. That's a bit of a stretch, but I kind of like it as well. Holding F, a disastrous podcast. I'm like, okay.
Love it.
See where you're trying to go with it. Like it. Anything else that's flown on through? I don't think so. Nah, I think we're all good for now.
Just a little tech pause again.
What else do you want to talk about, Tim? We could be here a while. We don't know.
We've absolutely... No, we're not. They're loading into the round.
God bless. All right, we won't talk about gardening again.
There we go.
I'm sure that will delight the people in chat that absolutely hated us talking about gardening before. I'm sorry to tell you, chat, once you get into 30s and 40s, this is what your life becomes. It's about DIY projects, it's gardening, it's all the boring things that you thought when you were like a 20-year-old you'd never do or get into, and then it happens.
It's all the things that you think are boring, and then it comes along and you go, maybe it wasn't.
Well, that's like me and you with golf in the last couple of years.
Wait till I start woodworking, then it's going to get serious.
I'm just waiting until you turn up with like a whole old smelter built into your garage or something. I'm like, this man's doing metal work to the max now. That's it.
Honestly, for me, it's not about what it is. I just enjoy being creative, having a creative outlet. I love it. Never happy.
All right, well, let's see how creative Virtus Pro can get in these last couple of rounds, because as we've said already a number of times, Wolves really have got them figured out here, and the change, the onus to change then falls onto Virtus Pro. At the end of the board, if they lose here, they've still got themselves locked into our playoffs already, but it is that fight for the top two that is so important and is based largely on the outcome of this game. They missed this one. Well, they already find themselves falling behind Falcons. Most likely, it's going to make life extremely tough to fight G2 or Secret or maybe even Matchco to make it into that second spot. Sequential rounds to go before we see how they fare on the second side of things. Here we go. There's been a trick onto this wall, though. Noodle's there already. Salmon number one is gone. Not the best start.
Well, it depends which side of the wall you're on, to be honest with you, Des. If you're on Wolves' side of the wall, it's a brilliant start. You know, taking away some of that utility. They know that they can't play up against that wall. He's going to have a look. Of course he is. Doesn't quite see his man up on the roof. They're going to dip back. But again, I just love the confidence from Wolves. Krex just getting really active here. He wants that fight. He wants that challenge. He's up at the windows. He's up at the barricades. Bring it on.
Absolutely. I mean, again, Krex could already do chilling at some points throughout the stage. He had a good start, like a good game or two to begin with. I like the way that he played on there in the opening game of the stage. And then obviously things have gone a little bit sour for the team overall as the stage has gone by. So you can't really put it on one player. Although if you got domed there by VP, I'll be a bit like, well, you're asking for that, weren't you? Let's be honest. Here we go. That's great bit of pressure. And the team play coming out from Virtus Pro there. It may have taken half a round to get to this point, Tim. Again, that reminder, this is the extended hold, but they have at least come away with a kill without losing anyone in response yet.
Oh, just sees his man there, but can't punish him. Joystick a little bit slow on the uptake, and Virtus Pro right now just trying to do everything they can to get themselves an edge moving through here. They've got the man advantage, but they desperately want to make it more before they're in for taking a plant on. We're going to have the Twitch drone just in there doing a bit of work as well. Dan taking out some of that utility. Azza just keeping himself. He's got a nitro in his pocket. Just keep that in mind. Just remember that when they start thinking about putting this diffuser down.
Yeah, it's not just the one that's in back pocket though, Tim. It's three that are in back pocket. They're waiting to play this time game. They're ready for it. I say that as Tyrant clearly wasn't ready for that, and neither was Noodle. Virtus Pro 5v2. What's the problem, they're asking? Stepping around for a third here, almost getting rid of Leader, finds one for himself. He's very much stuck between a rock and a hard place though as the plant starts going down, and by the looks of it, Azza's not going to be able to stop this one. It may have taken a good solid 2 minutes 50 seconds, Tim, but Virtus Pro, they steamroll Wolves.
Yeah, much better from Virtus Pro there. They get themselves into confident control of cash and construction, into logistics, push through bedroom door as well. Just a really nice pinch. Managed to get those kills around main stairs, shower. Just an absolute nuisance for Wolves there. We've had that little bit of a pause. Wolves, you know, they're still looking okay. I'm just hoping it doesn't kind of wobble them too much, because they've been really, really solid so far. And a round like that could definitely changed the trajectory of a game because Virtus Pro really seemed to have come online in that one.
It did. I mean, it was, again, the team push. It's the one thing I wanted to see a little bit earlier on was the joystick being ahead of the team, getting picked off. They were very, very slow, dragged around an awful lot. When it came around to that push there was, what, 3 of them bursting in towards Logi together? Far better, looked really good, and onwards we march. Every time I say Logi, I just think of that time you said Logitech app. It still comes back to me. And it's the resigned tone in your voice where you're just like, oh, Logitech, and I'm just there pissing myself laughing. Ugh.
A classic. A classic.
Yes.
We're going to head into another tech pause. We'll have a short delay whilst we get everybody back into the lobby and continue on. But Virtus Pro managing to get themselves at least back into things. If Virtus Pro can come away with a 3-3 here, I won't say it's a steal.
No, Tim, it's a steal.
It's a bit of a steal, isn't it? They've got away with one there.
You can't go into a court and go, it was a little bit of a steal. Can I get let off? No, it's a steal. Black and white, daylight robbery. Wolves will be gutted they only get 3 rounds if it comes down to that.
Yeah, I think they will be.
Thank you.
I think they need the 4-2 as well, in honesty. Attack is going to be more difficult for Wolves.
Yes.
They're going to be playing into a very well-organised, very well-disciplined Virtus Pro side, and it is not going to be easy to find those attacking rounds. 2 would be... Joystick's been listening to me talk about my garden.
I tell you what, someone in the chat was like, oh, we're having such a great time, let's not bring golf into this. You knock it, give it 10 years, and I can imagine you'll be on a course. Trust me, it's great.
Yeah.
Tim's talking about getting outside and giving yourself something to do. It's the perfect place to do it. It's lovely and green. It's just nice.
Well, it's a funny one because I took it up for that reason. I thought it'll give me a bit of motivation to get out, have a walk again. I'm talking about sort of, like mental well-being. I find a lot of peace being around trees and greenery, and it's a different kind of air. It's a different kind of breathing. You can feel it. Right, and so I thought it's a really good opportunity, I think. Get out there, get some fresh air. It'll encourage me to go walking more, and I'll whack a ball every now and again. How wrong could I be? It is one of the most stressful things I have ever undertaken.
Yes.
Is going out and playing golf. I have never got angrier with myself than I do when I'm going out playing golf. So I don't know if I'm really achieving that end goal of thinking I'll get out into nature, it'll clear the cobwebs out, it'll be really good for me, like, it'll soothe me, it'll be nice. I'm not too convinced. It's like when you know you're a bad shot in Siege, and then you go and play golf and realise how bad a shot you are IRL as well. And it's just like, this is the worst thing in the world. I've played a lot of sports over my life, a lot of sports, including stuff like
Except you didn't do high jump though, did you?
No, I've never done high jump. Squash, badminton, I'm talking high speed, small objects, like hand-eye coordination. I've played a lot of sports like that. Golf is the hardest sport I have ever played.
Yes. Have you played paddle, by the way?
By a country mile. I've not actually tried paddle yet.
We need to go and play duos paddle.
I would like to play some, yeah.
You should go and do it. You should go and find somewhere to play at some point. I haven't played it yet, but I've been curious to now for the best part of 3 years.
Yeah.
Just not actually got round to doing it.
That sort of thing, I think that's something I'd probably pick up quite quickly. Like I said, I've played a lot of racket sports, very, very familiar with racket sports.
The thing is, Tim, what side of the court are you going to play on? You've got to be on the left, really, haven't you?
I need to play doubles and play on the left, don't I? So that I can. So all I'm losing is the left wall.
And I'll just be like, left wall, left wall. It'll be fine. We'll make it work.
No, I'm pretty good with stuff like that. I did play a bit of badminton after I lost my sight. Out of interest for that reason, because it was like one of those things of like, will I still really be able to like track
I think we need to clarify here, because for those who don't know, you aren't completely blind.
No,
you just said you lost your sight and then you're going to play badminton. I'd be like, that sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
I mean, yeah, that'd take some skill, of course. But no, I've lost about 30% of my vision on my left side. So something moving across my vision really quickly like that can be quite difficult. But no, what I find is, so long as I know it's happening, then I'm fine. So something like tennis, badminton, paddle, stuff like that, when I'm tracking a ball in the centre of my vision, I'm okay, because I know it's going to my left, so I'm watching it go there. So yeah, generally speaking, I'm fine.
I want to know who's the culprit of these multiple tech pauses that we're getting.
I don't know.
Think it is?
It's I can't think that we've had it. Yeah, I mean, these things happen. You know, we're playing online games. It's my PC crashed twice earlier today,
Really?
which is very unusual for it, to be fair. So these things happen. Look, you know, but yeah, I can't think that we've had. I think this has probably been. It's always an interesting factor though, because like we say, you know, how does it affect the players? How does it affect? You know, it can have an impact.
How does it affect me? I'm sat here roasted to death, Tim.
We've got to talk about gardening and golf. You know,
I'm cooking to death though. It's so hot.
it's probably the most disrupted game I think we've seen so far. Probably not just in EML, I think, including any of the games we've done. So it's been a little bit unfortunate so far. I think we seem to be just having a little bit of bad luck, but obviously, you know, we'll get, I'm sure everybody wants to get it as resolved as they can, as quickly as they can, because, you know, they don't want these sorts of disruptions. They just want to get in and play, so...
All right, mate, gives us time to talk golf, gardening. What else can we talk about? It's going to bore people to death. Surely you got something in mind.
I don't know. I'm not a very boring person, Des. You know, I'm usually doing high octane things like sorting out a vegetable patch. You know, I live my life from 1 minute to the next, Des, as you well know.
None of that boring stuff like bungee jumping or throwing yourself out of a plane. No. It's not enough for you. It doesn't get the heart going.
No. It's too run of the mill that. You know me. I'm all about some, you know, a good mulch. You know, kind of getting a good mulch on my borders, you know, to promote growth. I'm all about these high octane moments.
Mulch. Hey, we're getting back into game. Good times.
I couldn't think of a more boring thing in the garden than effectively crushed up leaves and branches.
I've just seen the production of Done Us Dirty. The bottom banner a second ago said, "Do you play golf?" Des does for some reason. I was like, what? I didn't even see that get stuck in there. Fair play, production. You've kept that one quiet from me. Someone said golf is just a nice walk ruined by playing golf.
Honestly, it's so true. It's a
so
great
true.
way to ruin a good walk. It truly is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, honestly, I know I said it, but I can't remember being angrier at myself than I have been on the golf course. But then you'll always have a good 18th hole, you see. For those of you who don't play golf, this is what happens. You're obviously thinking, well, why'd you go back and play again if it's that? And it's because it'll be terrible for 17 and you always have a good last. It just reels you back in.
I need some new rehost music, I've decided.
I need a fan. That's what I've just decided.
I'm your biggest fan, Tim. You don't need another one.
Hey.
Hey.
I do have a big standing fan like that, but obviously
What do we always do?
I can't use it. I can't
we
use
both do it every time we do it. Oh,
Love it.
so good.
Yeah, if it interferes with the broadcast too much, if I have a fan on, the players can get away with it because they're only bugging the teammates. So,
Why does it sound like this? Does it sound like that? Or something?
what did that sound like again?
I don't know. It's another day for
like
sound
that,
effects.
yeah. You know, but
Yeah.
we've got thousands of people who have to listen to it, not just 4 others. So
It's true.
we can't get away with it.
Yeah. I've got a standing fan up in the loft that I could get down, but I haven't bothered yet. However, we're about to go into another heat wave in the UK, so I feel like it might be time.
I think it's definitely the time of year to be having a look, Des.
Of course, we'll be having a look.
Of course. I couldn't live without my standing fan, to be honest. Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's a
I like that name. Luke's come up. Tech Pause Tuesday. What?
Tech Pause Tuesday.
I don't know what happens on Monday because we're casting on Monday next.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's Monday.
Check the calendar, Tim. Get the calendar up. I'm pretty sure it's Monday.
I'm bringing it up. Yeah, it's next Monday, the 14th. Yeah.
Which is the day when we have our upper bracket quarterfinals of playoffs. We have 3rd seed versus 6th and 4th versus 5th. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it should be a good day. I'm really looking forward to... I always do, but I'm really looking forward to the playoffs in EML this time around because I just think with the spread of how the teams are in that top 6, at the minute, the way it's kind of shaping up, obviously all things could change. But I look at it, I just think we're going to have some really, really good matchups, particularly in that sort of number 3 versus 6, number 4 versus 5. I think that kind of bottom half region, which at the minute is shaping up to be secret, Virtus Pro, Matchco and BDS. You know, obviously those are subject to change if teams move around. But yeah, a mixture of those teams going in, honestly, anybody could come out of it.
I've had an understanding, at least a slight brief. We're going through a couple of, or maybe even a few rehosts off the back of this one, just a few settings to chop and change, and then we'll be able to get ourselves back underway. And again, I do apologize you're having to listen to us talk about golf and gardening and old man stuff and make stupid jokes and fans. I'll tell you what, it does not sound like the most enticing conversation topic list. We managed to make it work for 20 minutes or so of tech pause.
That's what we do, Des. That's what we do.
It do be what we do. Quite like the Wolves jerseys, by the way.
Yeah, I've always liked the Wolves jersey. The current one is very nice. Yeah, it's.
Ooh, colours!
Yeah,
Yay!
It looks
ring
like we're going
game.
back in there. That was definitely a lock-in pause there. We definitely saw the old lock-in from the players of that. Right, let's get going. So where are we up to? It's round 6. It's Wolves' final defensive round. We're going to be going into gym and bedroom. The bands you see at the top of your screen: Vertus Pro, Bandout, KE, Clash, and Azami. And then we've got Wolves have taken away Blitz, Maverick, and Thermite. So Vertus Pro having to play with the ace. We saw it last round. They were able to successfully bandit trick one of those Selmas, so certainly making life a little bit more difficult for them. And this time around, they're going to want to open CCTV wall and Jacuzzi wall realistically, as well as logistics hatch. So yeah, definitely lots of work for the breachers to be doing here, and an opportunity for Noodle on the bandit.
Absolutely, and on this site, if you recall back to how we saw it play out last time around, Cash CC was a big waste of time with these exact operators, the Bandit and that Mute, so more of the same to be expected, and also making site itself a little bit more of a fortress with that mirror on side again. So it's more of the same as what we've seen throughout the half so far. You'd hope that Virtus Pro, given what we've seen from them over the last couple of rounds, warming into this a little bit more now, would have something in mind to deal with this a little bit more effectively, but it's still going to be that same mini game they have to play through of getting the wall opened up, dealing with the jammers, tossing nades over walls, yada, 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 just to be able to get themselves inside of the map itself. Jammer being taken out from below this time, so instead turning away from using those frags and just relying on good old vertical play instead.
Swapping max.
I like this use of the IQ just to put that pressure from underneath, like you said, you know, vertical play, get in there, know that it's difficult. They can't really play too much with those electronic gadgets because they know that it's just giving them away on the scanner, so they're having to dip away from it. But look at that, it doesn't matter, as Leader manages to find an opener onto Joystick, and Noodle manages to hit Shepherd with the C4. Wolves looking good for a 4-2 half as it stands 5 versus 3. Virtus Pro struggling to get in the building.
All right, I mean, this should be it. That should be that 4-2 half that we think, truthfully, Wolves probably deserved. Like, I know Virtus Pro battled in for a couple of rounds, but a 3-3, as we said, would feel like daylight robbery, and Wolves would feel really hard done by, given how effectively and how well they've played against Virtus Pro's playstyle, that slower style, willing to play out aggressively on extensions and hold for as long as they possibly can, has rewarded them in this round, and they should be able to come out on top. That said, 75 seconds is still a lot of time in which to get stuff done. The main worry for Virtus Pro is they've only got those 3 players to work with, so they are more out of resource than they are out of time.
Hops into construction, always just trying to get something going here. Gonna move around possibly to logistics, but he's gonna need a bit of support. He's still got Pasha up on the roof, who of course can play in through the hatch, get a drone in there for a little bit of intel ahead of him. They're definitely committing to this, and the problem they're going to have is Tyrant with the shotgun as they try to come around this corner. He's gone prone for the time being, and I think it's unlikely here that Always checks such a low angle as he comes around. They just double swing. Tyrant gets the kill with the shotty, and that's going to be Wolves taking a flawless round. The tech posers certainly not slowing them down. 4-2 on the half. The big questions are going to be asked now, though, and that is Wolves, how will you fare on the attack?
Like I said, quite a deserved scoreline as well. I mean, let me quickly pull up our numbers here. Virtus Pro, 60% attacking win rate. They've only managed to get 2 rounds here against, statistically, and also on the leaderboard, the worst team in the competition. So Wolves should be really proud, I think, of that half overall. They've denied the heavy plant stat that we've seen Virtus Pro having as well. That's going to drop quite significantly from 49% downwards now. one of very few teams that are able to stop that style of gameplay coming out from VP. Either way, bans have come on through pretty quick. Double shield ban, double electrification ban. No big surprise there, to be fair. Pretty common stuff all round.
Yeah, nothing really to write home about, largely as expected. It's going to help keep Garage Catwalk safer for the defenders, having some of those shields taken away, and it's also going to mean that the attackers can get those walls open a little bit quicker. We just see that double swing there. Warden nearly lost his life. Did get dropped down but not out, but will count, of course, as the round expires when Tyrant gets that final kill. So, Virtus.pro, first defense. This is so important for Virtus.pro. They've chosen to go to gym and bedroom. They have to hold on to this. They cannot lose this opening defense and go 5-2 down if they want to be holding on to this game and getting the win overall. They've brought Pasha on the clash. Keep an eye on Pasha on the clash, because it's going to be Pasha's job to really delay this attack. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to see him playing. I'm kind of expecting out in Cash and CCTV, top red maybe, depending what rotations they open up. But it's going to be about just slowing Wolves down and preventing them access to that side of the map.
For sure, and of course, being hunted down by the Dockerby is going to be the other thing to be mindful of at the same time. But I think we all know by now, Virtus.pro massive mute players. Three of their players have got mute in their top 3 most played ops. Absolutely love playing it. You're going to see it to the absolute death, which of course somewhat mitigates what Wolves can do here with the Dockerby, or even with things like the exothermics, or of course getting the wall opened up with those Selmas. You can hear the one now underground, but this for being so high up on the wall, underground, underneath even, it being so high up on the wall, it's a sphere that goes around that mute jammer. You can still get up on the top of walls, so it's still able to get opened up. No real bother.
Yeah, pretty easy for any experienced Thermite to get around those jammers. We will see the next wall getting opened up as well. That's construction. So VP have got some decisions to make now, and that is how hard do they try to hold on to these areas, particularly construction, because they're going to find themselves getting pinched from both sides. It is Dan on the Asami, so he can possibly play with those keeper barricades a little bit, provide himself a little bit of temporary cover, but as it is, he's dipped away from it. He doesn't want any part of it. He's going to get himself back into logistics and look to live to fight another day, because construction would have been a real nightmare to try and hold on to. So Wolves, good progress so far. They need to get themselves established a little bit quicker. We're halfway through the round and they're not even into CCTV yet. They haven't dealt with the clash. There's a lot of work to be done.
I was going to say, that's the main problem I can see here, Tim. They haven't yet removed this extended hole over halfway into the round. I know Virtus.pro was slow, but it was around about this time that they had full control of Cash and CC. Still got to face off against the clash. Still got to worry about C4s. Got to worry about jammed up walls, of which this one doesn't appear to be jammed off. A bit of a surprise there. A C4 from below, I think that was. It didn't find anybody as that Dockerby call rings on through. But no one has moved at this point, Tim. That's crucial utility going to waste, you might say.
Yeah, the C4 was just up and over the wall from always, but just landed the wrong side of that reinforcement. But how's about that from Pasha? Just a beautiful strafe across. He sees the one lowest there as well. He knows he's got them both sides, but Pasha doesn't care. He's just going to kill all of them, Des. All of them, one after another. Pasha, what a round from him. Virtus.pro, beautiful defense.
I don't know why you're so excited, Tim. It's not like we see that from Pasha every single round.
Just unreal!
He's been lightning all stage long, and he just does not stop getting away with it as well. As I mentioned, coming in, 132 EPS. He's 87 to 46 on his kills, 13 and 5 on the entry. He's been putting up numbers throughout the whole stage, and it clearly ain't stopping here. But this is what the things that we said back in that first half before we got into our tech pauses was, for Wolves, it was this half that we were worrying about. What was their attacking side going to look like coming up against Virtus.pro? If that first round is anything to go by, it's going to be nigh on impossible to get around away from Virtus.pro.
He didn't even have a proper gun. Unbelievable stuff from Pasha. Absolutely beautiful. Getting himself a triple, and that really does send a message to Wolves. There was a couple of problems for Wolves there. If we want to, Pasha is going to be one of those problems that I will list. I'll get it out of the way now. Pasha slapping 3 of you as you try to get into the building is, you know, it's an ever-present threat when you're playing against Virtus.pro. The other issue was time, as we said. You know, whilst we were going through the round, a minute 30, they weren't really established. They hadn't cleared that extended hold. They were then severely punished from that extended hold. So yeah, Wolves need to just be, I think, a little bit more decisive, a little bit quicker, use that utility, make sure they're playing in behind it, and get these areas cleared a little bit quicker.
Sure, well, at least starting things out quickly inside a strip, charging their way through onto this ground floor, and I imagine looking to try and cut off some of those that may well be roaming above, of which there are a couple. I say roaming above, it's heights upstairs, of course, they'll be fine up there. Maybe trying to catch one below that's hovering out, trying to play for a C4, but I think as we know from Virtus.pro Tim, they tend to play mostly quite tight in towards site. Not super compact like full turtle, but you very rarely see them going hyper aggressive, trying to cover every single part of the map and trying to deny your entry into the building or trying crazy runouts. It's not really the Virtus.pro way. At least here from how the setup is looking, it is a very dug-in setup they've got in mind. So for Wolves, it's about making use of the verticals. They've now got control from below. They're starting to think about what the execute could be because there's nothing crazy aggressive here in terms of extension.
Great response from Wolves there. Tyrant just managing to get involved from the hatch. Krex took a lot of damage, but this is what Wolves need. Good team play, backing each other up, get themselves a kill, take down Shepard, and it's the army as well. Big loss for Virtus.pro. Of course, those keeper barricades go into the grave along with Shepard. 5 versus 4 then. And Wolves can start to mount a bit of pressure. We spoke about time. This is much better for time. They're in construction. They've got control. They can open up some lines of sight onto the site itself. Not going to be easy from here on out.
Can't be losing freebies like this though, Tim. There's no team
can't.
moment coming in here as well. You've just been domed off by Dan. Shock horror, I guarantee. He's not the first nor the last person to experience that in this game. All the concern, though, as you say, is they've got all the control, they've got themselves into a spot, and now they're just starting to bleed out players, hit points, you name it, in a spot where they're thinking about this construction hit, but that's really what they've got to work with him because they lost the player that was over on that east breach. They need someone to rotate over there, really, to make this work for them.
Just going to be holding these angles for the time being. Virtus.pro hoping somebody gives themselves away. That's exactly what's going to happen. Leader moves in. Krex tries to follow. Always takes him down. 4 versus 2. They can't even make use of the glass. Virtus.pro, they are looking like a slightly different beast on the defense. This was the concern. This was the worry that I raised for Wolves as they got themselves off that defensive half and onto the attack when they had to take the lead. It is tough going against a team like Virtus.pro. They find themselves now 2 rounds down on the attack, 4-4 on the scoreboard, and Virtus.pro still have basement to play. It's not looking good for Wolves right now.
No, it is not. And again, we come back to that conversation, 2 halves to a game of Siege. You're seeing a very different Virtus.pro. It's all good having a game plan to deal with them when they're on the attacking side. Once the sides switch and you're the one having to play into their game style, when they're the ones setting the tempo of these rounds a little bit more, well, then you're going to start to flail. All things now even, 4 apiece. The Wolves' advantage eliminated. So far, the Bears are starting to snack down with them jaws onto these Wolves who don't really seem, at least what we've seen across those first 2 rounds, to have a way back into this game yet. However, they lose this one, Tim. I think we see attack timeout. Maybe there's a little bit of a twist in this tale yet to come.
I think the Wolves fans are certainly going to be praying that there is, but right now, it looks like it's going to be a big ask. We've got the mute jammers up on the top floor. We've seen it. It's a tale as old as time. Get the roamers up there. Castle yourself a safe way back in towards site so they can drop down and away as they need to and just try to burn out as much time as possible. I'm just looking across. We've got 2 roamers. Pasha and Joystick are the 2 that are tasked with holding onto that top floor for as long as possible. They've got the keeper barricades that they can utilise. Potentially, they might want to get them back to site with them. So we'll see what Joystick, there's the answer. Joystick's going to send them out straight away onto garage door. So definitely Virtus.pro recognising the importance of holding onto top floor for as long as possible. They're willing to expend utility up there that could be used on site, but no, they want to make sure that they make things as difficult as possible. Krex gets taken out. Joystick is dropped in a trade, but actually Blackbeard gone.
I was going to say Blackbeard being gone is a pretty big deal as well. You might say the same about his army, but really he was out there to play his life. Yes, you haven't got the utility for back on site, but his work is done. He'll be happy with that. They've got rid of the main threat in this round. Not forgetting the 2 bans out of Virtus.pro already, Tim, R2 Shield. You're probably going to see the Blackbeard follow in the next round as their ban they bring out because they just do not want to face off against it. So it's great they've got rid of such a critical operator early on. Also seen one of those phone calls come out for the Dockerby, so there is only 1 remaining.
Going to be grabbing the cams as well there. So they've got the intel, they've got the calls, they've got everything going for them here of Wolves, but Virtus.pro have got themselves completely back to sight. All 4 of them are there. Always is kind of splitting in and out. Tyrant gets a big kill onto Always, gives himself away there. They really didn't need that to be happening. And now they have to try and hold on with a man deficit and a minute 10 left to go. This round really should be for Wolves.
Let's see what Boogie can do.
Like again, I don't want to point towards everything being this one operator team, but a phone call is now coming out. I was going to say that in back pocket, that is go time really for the side of Wolves. Making a lot of noise for themselves. That Ram coming in over the top here. They get a shot from the bottom of main, but catches down on the backside. But that is about it. In fact, I think it was Pasha. At least has an idea on where they are, Tim. But at this point, they're forced to be able to just hold and wait. But they just want to invite them in. And there we go. The deadlock's broken. Tyrant getting rid of Dan. That now makes life really uncomfortable for the side of Vertus Pro because they've lost blue control.
Yeah, and that's a good push in from Leader. Manages to take down Pasha, playing in behind the boxes. And then the diffuser can start going down. It's all up to Shepard. We know that he's got the capability to clutch from here, but will not on this occasion. The final kill comes in from the bottom of main stairs. Wolves, they could not have got a more important round there. Getting that third choice site, the basement of all places, you'd have expect that to be the fortress, the stronghold for Virtus Pro. But no, Wolves have managed to grab it. It puts them onto 5 and it sends a message that we can at least get to overtime here if we can just win that offsite. We're going to see Virtus Pro more than likely rotate back through the 2 sites that they won, Gym and Bedroom, CCTV and Cash. Wolves, they're going to have to bring something different because they weren't really very close at all and things just got more difficult again. They've lost the Thermite there to the ban, so they're going to have to work with Ace and Hibana instead, and it might just slow things down. They have been, if I just have a look at the teams that the lineups they've been bringing, they have been playing the Ace, definitely. Last time they attacked CCTV Cash, the main breach was done with Ace charges. So it's probably not going to be too big a shift for them, but it's just about those options and not having the choice. If I have a look, yeah, so Leader played Thermite back in round 7. They didn't play it in round 8, so maybe not a huge loss, but like I say, it's about that choice.
The key thing for me that I think it plays into is, like you said earlier on, Vertus Pro love playing the mute, and we saw the response from Wolves was get a nice high exothermic on there, and obviously as the voice line goes, a real big fucking hole coming right up. They blow that wall wide open. Doesn't matter about the mute jump, and they're basically rendered useless for external walls. Now that's taken away, like, yeah, sure, all well and good. You can get yourself an exothermic, Estelle run towards one of the top corners, or maybe a Hibana to help out with that, maybe even a hard breach charge, but you still got to then remove the jammer that is on the other side. That's the other consideration. We saw a bit of IQ coming out in the first half as a way to try and deal with that, so could have gone towards that, but that's now both teams banning away that Thermite when they've been on the defense. Just an interesting observation.
Yeah, that might be part of why we see Noodle bring the fuse along. Hard breach charges, of course, will take up some of that burden, but here we go. That's exactly why they brought the fuse, because you can put one of those fuse charges really specifically away from the mute jammer, and you're hoping that the pucks go in, clear out the mute jammer once they explode. And I think the fuse charge was actually shot out on that occasion, but still, even just one of those pucks being sent through is enough. Once it detonates, clears out that jammer, they get the breach that they need, and it forces Virtus Pro out of construction. So it's good problem solving from Wolves.
Well, it is for now, at least, as a starting point. Of course, the rest of the round, no plan to survive first contact with the enemy, as we've seen repeatedly against Vertus Pro until that last round. 2 rounds on the bounce. Pasha being the demon that we know that he so often can be. Male all eyes, I think, in this round, though, turn no doubt in towards the gadgetry in the back pocket of Wolves. They've got so much to play with. I know we very rarely see the fuse being used for the purpose you maybe would intend with that gadget. And also not really the intended use case for a mute. Either team going down, not say super early, 75 seconds in, but going down without really too much of a sniff from the side of Wolves. Puts them in a man advantage.
Pasha's on those red stairs again. We saw the damage that he was able to do last time. They've no idea, Des. They're walking in here. Tyrant not even making a challenge. He's going to get cut down on the other door. Asa manages to find the trade, but the damage is done. It's 3v2. Virtus Pro now in the ascendancy on the round. The Wolves have got it all to do. 1:15, so they don't need to rush this. They've got a Dockerby call in pocket as well. They have utility and time going for them, but manpower could be an issue. That is good, though. They needed that next kill. Leader finds joystick. 2v2. This could be doable. Wolves, they keep going, Des.
But they're against Dan, Tim. I don't know. It should be doable. They've got the phone call. Please use the phone call. Use the phone call. Use the phone call. You know where he's going to be. Get yourself in spot. Use the damn phone call. We saw teams the other day trying to hold... Well, they lost the 1v3, I believe it was, when they had 3 Deimos trackers in the back pocket. And I was like, please just use them. It's come out now. They should at least have a sniff as to where he is. Maybe can go for the kills. One stepping in. The rounding coming in from one door. Turns to the one. Steps away again. A quick second after. Stuck in the door. Oh no, the rotate catches him out, and Luna steps around, gets the kill. Tim, Wolves are doing it.
They might just be doing it. It was well played from Dan there. As soon as he hears the Legion, the goo mine, he knows they've come in through window, but actually swings door because he's aware they're going to try and hit him from both sides at the same time. He doesn't. If he gets the kill on door and he can just focus on Jim, maybe he does it, but he doesn't quite land his shots. And then we just see the perfect example of why you got to make sure those rotates are perfect. Give him a little test. Give him a little test in the prep phase. Make sure they're nice and smooth, because he just gets snagged on one of those bits that's not quite been sort of smoothed out, and it just costs him because it leaves him right in the line of sight. And Virtus.pro, they know they're in Wolves' line of sight right now for a full 3 points, so they're going to hit the tag timeout.
Like I said earlier, it's not often we really see Virtus.pro taking a tag timeout as well, often because they're on winning ways. Why bother having the conversation? But they realize here, have a chance to get one of them buys, the first and second spots in the end of the league going into playoffs, get a buy into the second round. They can avoid having to show 3 maps in their pool potentially in that first round, which is certainly enough to scoff at too much. They've got 2 rounds that they need to rescue, and it starts to feel difficult as to how they'll be able to get that one done. What it will give is a discipline shown by Wolves here. They knew about the extended hold, and as we saw for basically the entirety of that round, Shepard was stuck on the cash door. He couldn't cross through construction, so he was being watched through the window, chose to try and stay and play his life. Ultimately came to nothing. 2-round deficit then. Cash and CC where we step into. Wolves could wrap this up here and now.
I'm not really sure why Joystick's sticking his face into the construction window there. I think he kind of got what he was asking for. If you're looking for the challenge on the window, then you're concerned about somebody holding the angle in towards logistics or in towards cash. So if you stick your face into the window, you know they're going to see you, because that's where you think that they're playing, or potentially looking into CCTV. For me, you'd have been better off going out a gym window or something if you were concerned with that. You know, you just give them the opportunity there. But Wolves took it fantastically well. Really good stuff from them. So they get themselves now 2 opportunities to close this out. We said coming into tonight, we think it's all going one-sided. We know there's going to be upsets. Who'd have thought it would be the bottom of the table taking on Virtus.pro, who've looked like one of the best teams for sure that we've got in EML at the minute. And right now, Wolves, they are certainly looking like they are right up there with them in terms of performance on Clubhouse.
Absolutely, looking pretty cozy. And as we said, it does definitely lead to that drag tomorrow, the heartbreaking moment where you might have a win against one of our top teams and still not make it, but all you can do is play the game before you. Let's see how this round shapes up though. We've got those Candelas on side with the Ying once more, the Glass Fan Noodle. One to always keep an eye on. Like, I think that high fantasy of a Glass you always have in your mind, loads of smokes down, murders everyone through the smoke. It's great. Very rare does it come into fruition though, but can still put a lot of pressure down and make it very, very hard for the other side to be able to contest the plant if it's going down inside a smoke. So I think that's what you're going to see Wolves going for here. It's a very heavy utility, heavy execute. A lot of smokes being down, Noodle looking to give cover while they get Tyrant sticking the diffuser.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke optimistically earlier about Wolves' chances and the fact that they're still in the race for 6th. The fact that it's now going to be 7-4 at best, that puts them on a -16 round difference. They're asking for an awful lot then. They need to be beating BDS by 5 or 6 rounds, realistically. Which is very unlikely. Like I said, if they could have won this 7-2, 7-3, then it would have put them in a much more realistic spot where they could get themselves in the mix. But yeah, it's looking like the Hail Mary, the dream may be over. You know, even based on this result. Look, anything's possible, but it's looking less and less likely. So here we go. Wolves going to get that breach on into sight. 55 seconds left to go. Yet to find a kill. Taking a little bit of damage from the Toxic Babe. Need to get aggressive here. 45 seconds left to go. They've not cleared Catwalk. They've not cleared Top Red yet. There's a lot of utility going to be stacked up against them.
There is, and there's the first bit coming in. Plant going down with all their 10 players still alive.
This is good. This is good.
Coming over. They don't get to stick this one, Tim, and there is no response. Smokes have been layered down, always very much kept away from the action, and Wolves have got 2 kills. They're on for it here, Tim, making a 3rd as well, looking for a 4th, and now it's all Dan. A 1v5 to go. They might just flawless this last round. No, silenced by Dan, but not like it changes anything. Wolves take 3 points away from one of the juggernauts here in the EML.